Angel Chakma's death in Dehradun in Uttarakhand is a tragedy that should shake the whole country. The young student from Tripura was brutally beaten. 5 people have been arrested now. But Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami has personally spoken to the victim's father, assuring that justice will be delivered. But the horror doesn't end there. There have been multiple incidents like this across the country in the last few days. In Tamil Nadu, a migrant worker named Siraj was attacked by 4 minors who even recorded the assault and shared it online. Meanwhile, foreign tourists in Varanasi have faced harassment, prompting police to start investigation. Different places, different victims, but the same troubling pattern of people being targeted for being different, whether by region, status, or even nationality. And violence being treated as normal, as casual. And political parties are now blaming each other. Governments have promised action. Arrests have been made, but the larger question remains, why is basic decency disappearing from public life? Why has violence taken over? Sympathy alone cannot fix this. Anger is justified. But accountability cannot end at statements and calls. Political blame games have followed in each case, with parties accusing governments of law and order collapse and divisive politics. But what really happened? Here's a report.
Outrage and anger over the brutal killing of Tripura student Angel Chakma in a racial attack in Dehradun. Chakma and his brother were assaulted by a bunch of men who abused them, used racial slurs and attacked them. Chakma battled for his life in hospital for 17 days but couldn't survive. His medical report showed bleeding in the brain due to a head injury, multiple injuries to the arms and feet, severe injuries to the spine and loss of movement on the right side. 5 attackers have been arrested and the hunt is on for one more. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami on Monday spoke to Chakma's father on the phone and assured justice.
तो हम इसमें पूरी कार्रवाई करवाएंगे. आप बिल्कुल मतलब इस बात के लिए तो कोई आपको नहीं करना. जो भी कठोर से कठोर कार्रवाई होगी वो होगी और हम लोग पूरे परिवार के साथ हैं.
There is palpable anger in Tripura and the northeast. Students are demanding a law on anti-racial violence.
हमारा मांग यह है कि सरकार ऐसा कोई बिल या फिर लॉ पास करे और जो यहाँ पे शामिल है हत्या में, उनकी हत्या में जो शामिल है उन पर कठोर ऐसे एक्शन ले.
Racial attacks on people from the northeast are not uncommon across the country. Will this latest incident lead to some strict action? That is to be seen. But Chakma is not the only victim of hate crimes in India in the past few days. In Tamil Nadu, a bunch of teenagers assaulted a migrant worker on board a suburban train. The young boys recorded the attack and later turned it into a reel, brandishing a machete and using a Tamil song as background music. In another video, the accused was seen striking the victim with machetes, with one of the attackers posing next to his body with a victory sign. The victim, a resident of Maharashtra, is being treated at a hospital. Last week, a migrant worker was beaten to death by a group of men in Kerala's Palakkad after being branded a Bangladeshi. The victim had travelled from Chhattisgarh to Kerala to work.
तुम बांग्लादेशी? वो मेरा बहन को लगा है. बहन में बांग्लादेशी. और तुम्हारे गांव में कहाँ है तुम? Bangladeshi.
The Christmas week also saw a number of attacks and celebrations by the right-wing groups, from Jabalpur in MP to Bareilly in UP to Puri in Odisha to Assam. A number of Hindu right-wing groups went on a rampage against those celebrating Christmas. A video from December 25th showed a group of Japanese tourists being harassed and abused at the Sashwamedha Ghat in Varanasi.
Now just go. Don't stop anywhere. Go.
Locals objected to some tourists wearing Santa Claus caps at the Ghat. Why are some allowed to spread hate and defame the country? Why is racism so rampant? That too against our own countrymen from the northeast. It's time to call out the bigots and hate mongers and demand action and end this lunacy. At NDTV, we are against all hate. Enough is enough.
Okay, joining us now is Rishimuni Chakma, who's the president of All India Chakma Students Association. We also have Patricia Mukim, she's a social activist and writer. We also have Aruba Kabir, she's a senior psychologist, founder of Enso Wellness. Thank you for being part of this broadcast. Patricia, ma'am, to you first. In the last few years, we were all in some ways quite proud that there is mainstreaming, not just of Northeast, but the fact that of its culture, of people, there's been a lot of curiosity, especially with digital media. What happened is shocking, it's brutal. How do you see this and what do you think is the way forward?
See, in 2014, when Nido Tania was attacked, a student from Arunachal Pradesh, they had formed that Besbarwa committee to go into details of why this happens and to give a list of to-dos. So that list has gone to the Ministry of Home Affairs, but nothing has emerged out of that. And this is very worrying because it continues to happen. It keeps on happening. People from the Northeast are called Chinky, they're called Chinese, they're called Momo, and worse. They're not able to get houses on rent. And there are many more racist slurs that we have to bear up every time we step out of the region into what is called the mainland.
Right.
So I think what's important is that those who commit these acts should be punished under the law. You know, there are several sections that can be cited. So what is sad is that they always tend to go scot-free.
Right.
I hope these 5 that have been arrested for the murder of Angel Chakma will be, that the law will be strict on them, that the investigation will not be shoddy like every other time that we've seen.
That's a very important point that Patricia ma'am is raising. Rishimuni Chakma, does the law today have enough provisions to handle crimes like this? Because today I was talking to somebody and that person was talking about how when there are crimes against SEST violations, there are parts of law which are strong enough to take care of those kind of crimes, including what's there in the BNS. But does the IPC or BNS have enough to protect our brothers and sisters from the Northeast?
Yeah, very good evening, Chandravivu. And from the very beginning, we as a student union, All India Chakma Student Union, following up this particular case since 9th of December 2025. And after we heard the case, our team has been deputed from Delhi to Dehradun. Our senior vice president was looking after the entire case. And we have tried to press the police also to register the case. But after pressing, it took 3 days to register the case. And there is very initially, the police was trying to compromise this case and just saying that this case is a very normal case and not so serious. That's a very unfortunate from the police part. And we have been found that there is lots of many the laws has been amended and there is a series of, laws has been made, recommendation has been made, but that is only on the paper. Because the execution is an execution and implement, which the main, the particularly agencies and the police are not able to execute all those things.
Right.
Because there is a lapse from the police also and the negligence from the police also, which we have been, trying to tell to the media also that there are certain things which has not been covered, hidden behind the camera.
I think the most important point here, that there's a lot of distance between what is promised and what is delivered. Sanjay Hazarika joins us. He's a senior journalist, a film writer, somebody who was a commentator on Northeast issues, somebody who has made Northeast understandable to a lot of us. Thank you so much, Mr. Hazarika, for joining us. This incident has been a horrific reminder, sir, that so much more needs to be done. We have spoken about the Act East policy. We've spoken about peace and trust. Where do you think all of this snapped?
Well, I think there's a very fundamental issue here, which is that discrimination doesn't go away by writing a report or defining a law, making a law. It goes only when people change attitudes, and behavioral change is one of the most difficult things on the face of the earth. people to change their attitudes. And I think this incident shows that discrimination, especially racial discrimination, is alive and unfortunately well in this country. And you don't just see it in this case, which is really tragic and horrible and all these things, but you see it in many cases where people don't even take it up, almost on a daily basis, what Patricia was saying earlier. And I think this has to be called out, not just by the media, but by people across the country. I don't see the kind of vigorous position taking that one wishes from leaders in all parties. This is something that is intolerable and must be not just condemned, but you need to go after the people who are doing it so that they just cannot get away scot-free.
Absolutely. That's very well said. Ms. Kabir, how do you look at, this behavioral change? It's an important point that Mr. Hazarika also pointed out, because that seems to be the crux of issues. You can have all the laws you want. Implementation can also be improved. But if people don't change, nothing is going to change.
Absolutely, Vasudha. Violence is usually the final expression to a long process. When racist language, othering, mockery are repeatedly normalized, the brain slowly loses empathy towards a targeted group, which is mostly the minorities. What we see as a sudden act is actually the endpoint of chronic social conditioning, where someone stops being seen as fully human. So we have to do a lot of awareness about it. Because the difference is visible with certain people coming from certain states and they are not considered part of the country. Northeastern features are wrongly racialized as foreign, unfortunately. But if you also see, it also happens with a lot of youngsters. I'm not saying that adult people are not part of this racism, but youngsters, where there is, it's still developing the impulse control and emotional regulation. So maybe if we have more conversations in schools, colleges, have these awareness camps around, and then we can have that difference. Right. And then we also see the bystander effect also. Yes. People think that it is not my business, but silence is often taken as validation.
That's very important. Alok Lal, former DGP of Uttarakhand, also author of Murder in the Bylanes, joins us now. Mr. Lal, how do you look at the investigation that's proceeding in this case? 5 people have been arrested. The Chief Minister has finally spoken to the victim's father. What more should the Uttarakhand police have done in this regard? Clearly, there's so much more that should have been done.
Obviously, the arrest of 5 persons is a heartening development. But the subsequent action against these accused is very important, because an investigation which shows the intent quite clearly that we are not going to spare any of these people will send a signal for others as well who have any ideas of committing crimes like this. The fact remains, as has been mentioned, that in our country we do have a racial attitude. We do look at people differently based on their looks. And so we have this northeastern people being looked at as chinkies and Chinese and momos, and all those words are used against them. So clearly we have this in our system. So what is important at a second level is to address this issue, that within the society we should talk about this issue in the schools and colleges and the universities, within the families. We should understand that we are all Indians, independent of what our looks are.
Right.
So if we can send this message across, we can possibly control this crime.
Right. Mr. Hazarika, you wanted to make a point.
Yeah, actually 2 points. One is that, there are a lot of people from the region that we call the Northeast who live in places like Dehradun, in smaller places like Jaipur and other places. And I really wish, and there are people who've settled in Dehradun from the Northeast. There are writers, generals and others. And I wish that they would come out and speak on these issues and mobilize local people and enable a connectivity. Local people have to be involved in this community building. It's part of the nation building project. Communities is where the nation starts. That's one thing. The second thing which I wanted to mention is a very senior police officer said this to me yesterday when I was talking to him about this. And he said that, many of the people who come out of the region, young people, are not fully trained. They're not geared to adjust to to large cities and different societies. And you need some sort of a monitoring committee or group within the ministry, within the donor ministry, which is funding a lot of these trainings and so on, skill development, to see that people are really doing the jobs that they're supposed to be, taken in for.
Right.
Because that's also not happening. You need accountability at the end of the day on part of the government also.
Right. Patricia, apart from Angel's case, there have been other incidents. We've seen Christmas celebrations being disrupted. Also, we saw this horrific incident happening in Tamil Nadu where a migrant worker was assaulted, and the assault video was also made by minors. Even in this case, apparently 2 people are minors and their names are yet to be disclosed. We've also seen tourists from Japan being harassed on the ghats of Varanasi. So what really is happening in terms of civility? And like Mr. Hazarika has been saying, that we need to work on awareness, we need to work on community building, but clearly that's going to take some time. How do you explain all of these incidents happening?
No, see, firstly, I think there's impunity in this country today. Many of these guys who went and vandalized the malls for putting up Christmas celebration decorations and other places, they are going away scot-free. Nobody's arresting them. The judiciary is looking the other way. How can we live in a country like this that does not even allow peaceful celebration of what is a peaceful religion, I think? So, but I agree with Sanjoy that this also comes from a lot of ignorance. All these decades, we from the Northeast, and when we say Northeast, we are saying Northeast because we are, for us in the Northeast, we are the center of the earth. But Northeast is when you look at us from Delhi. So I don't even like this phrase Northeast. We have in this region learned about the rest of India. We've learned its history, its geography, but we haven't learned enough about ourselves. There are no, the books that were written are all written from Delhi. So they are very, very mainstream and they leave out what we call the periphery. So all these attacks come a lot from ignorance.
Right.
Maybe they think we are from another planet, from another region, maybe not part of India. So if you're going to attack all people having a particular racial, feature, then how is this country going to be called a country of diversity, a country that is secular? Absolutely. Where is all that secularism gone?
Absolutely. Aruba Kabir, how do you see the involvement of youngsters, minors in many of these crimes, at least 2 of these crimes, including in the case of Angel Chakma? And you rightly pointed out that youngsters seem to be more involved, but I'm unable to understand how are young people who are supposed to be far more progressive than older generations, how are they getting into something like this?
Wow, that's a lovely question actually. When people live under constant economic uncertainty, political polarization.
Okay, let me get that connection fixed. Drishyamuni Chakma, what is your demand from the government on when it comes to welfare of all students from northeastern states?
As I have stated earlier, there is a lapse from the negligence from the police side also. Initially, the FIR is supposed to register on the very same day, 9th of December. The accused which ran away at the moment and might be in all the 6 accused should be in the custody now, because they got a time and the police was there is negligence from the police side also, which police supposed to admit that things. And as far my demand is concerned from that this very case should be transferred to the Delhi, because there is a fears among the victims' family that they are not able to go to there because there is threatening from their very beginning also. And from our side, from a student community side, a CBI investigation into police conduct should be there. FIR delay, possible medical negligence in the hospital also should be there. Shifting of the trial case supposed to be there from Uttarakhand to Delhi. and action should be taken against those officials concerned for not registering the FIR and misleading and distortion of the fact and protecting the very accused. And today we have found that there is a certain, contradicted statement from the police official also recently. What they are doing, there is a just simple, argument between the victims and the accused. And what they are claiming that there is two victims was, having some alcohol and like that. There such type of statement was giving in, which we have gone through from various media.
Right.
That this should not be there. And what we believe is that there is after the Base Barua committee, there is a recommendation from the this concern in the committee that there is a spanner in Delhi is there for the safety and the security of the Northeast student studying in there. Concrete safety measure for the student and resident from the Northeast in Uttarakhand supposed to be there. In this regard, they're supposed to have a special police unit for the Northeast student in Delhi as well as the Uttarakhand.
Right. Sanjay Hazarika, what are the three important things that the society should be doing, the government should be doing specifically? What is your advice to Indian society now to at least build that, to start rebuilding that trust and confidence which seems to have really collapsed now, and rightly so after Angel's murder?
Well, I don't think they've collapsed. I think what we need to do, I don't know about three things, but certainly one thing to start with is start with conversations in the community. This is very important in the student community where he was studying. Are those students understanding what the issue is? Do they know about the region? Do they know about the concerns of the Chakma students and others from the region? I think that is a very fundamental way to start, to have the conversations, to start a dialogue and build better understanding. The second thing is the media, frankly, needs to get its act together and be much more rigorous, as you have been in this case, in this show, and be much more focused on the things that are happening, because this is coming, as Patricia and the others have been saying, this is not coming out of the blue. There is a sense of deprivation or of dislike, or which is there, and that needs to be addressed. And the third thing I would say is that whether it's the Base Barua committee, which is a good committee with a lot of recommendations, and what the government did after that, whatever it is, implementation is the key part of law.
Right.
It is not just having it there, but implementation and going after the people who've committed a crime.
Right.
This is a horrendous criminal act, and the people need to face the full wrath and force of the law.
Absolutely. Patricia, ma'am, what is your view? What is the way forward? How do you sort of rebuild this norm of civility? Because it seems like fear and anger have become routine in many places.
Yeah, and social media has only replicated everything, I mean, not replicated, it has sort of multiplied, and these voices of dissent, of hatred, and they create a kind of a very uncivil atmosphere. Because when you keep watching these videos where people vandalize and terrorize, then, like the psychologist just now said, it creates a different kind of mindset in people who watch also. But I would like to say one thing. These crimes fall under section 196, 197, 353 of the BNS. So why is it that the police are taking so long to register such crimes and to do a good job of investigating these crimes? It is because the people who commit these crimes get away scot-free that they continue to happen.
Right.
So the way forward is for the Home Ministry to dig up the MP Base Barua report and see that is implemented in letter and spirit.
Right. Alok Lal, today Rahul Gandhi called this a hate crime, but like Patricia is also talking about how is the investigation and the trial process when it comes to crimes against Northeastern students? Do these racial crimes get the same seriousness as many other crimes?
The crime that has occurred recently is being investigated. I think the investigating officer has unnecessarily spoken to the media, saying that we are not able to establish if it's a hate crime or if it's a crime based on caste or racism or any such thing. I think he should have desisted from making a statement so early in the investigation. So that gives a lot of doubt to the way the police is going into the whole show. In my opinion, in all these cases, there should be investigation by a senior officer, so that there's no question of this kind, that there is some leniency being shown towards the accused. However, in this particular case, I think it's too early to establish that it's a crime based on racism. It could very well be, because India has seen racist crimes.
Yeah.
There is no doubt that
So
there are racist
the victim's
crimes. There are
brother
crimes
has gone on
based
record to
identity.
talk about what really happened. So clearly there's something really about racial intolerance. Let me also get in. Aruba Kabish is back with us. Aruba, there's something that Patricia spoke about, digital, social media. Is social intolerance also rising because everybody today has a smartphone, there's social media, there's Insta, there's so much of social media now, and there's also identity-based rhetoric that plays on your reels. Is that also something that contributes to this violence?
Well, that is one of the contributions, but as I guess I lost the connection, I couldn't complete it. But when you have a lot of economic instability in the country, there's political polarization, and there's like pollution, noise.
Okay, Aruba, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. The father of the victim is joining us now. Thank you, Mr. Chakma, for speaking to NDTV. Mr. Chakma, हमसे जुड़ने के लिए बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद. ये बताइए कि आपके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल टाइम है. ये बताइए कि आज क्या मैसेज देना चाहते हैं आप देश को?
मैडम, मैं तो कोई बार बोला मैडम, मेरा बच्चा जैसे ऐसे हुआ मैडम, और किसी दूसरा बच्चा को ना हो. मैं देश को ये बोलना चाहूँगा, जो भी हुआ चलो बहुत बुरा हुआ अभी, और जो भी बच्चा पढ़ने गया तो उनको और बाद में कभी ना हो, ये मैं देश से बोलना चाहता हूँ मैडम.
जी अरुण जी, सरकार ने आपको आश्वासन दिया है कि पूरी तरह से इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया जाएगा. 5 लोगों का अरेस्ट भी हुआ है. आपको क्या विश्वास है कि आपके बेटे को न्याय मिलेगा?
हाँ मैडम, विश्वास तो है. अपना त्रिपुरा सरकार, ये सीएम ने भी बोला, फिर उत्तराखंड सीएम भी बोला, हमसे बात किया तो उन लोग न्याय देंगे. हम पूरा भरोसा है मैडम, न्याय मिलेगा.
जी सर, थोड़ा सा एंजल के बारे में बताइए. पूरा देश आपके साथ है और बहुत ही ज़्यादा शेकन है कि इतना हॉरिबल क्राइम हुआ है. आपके बेटे के बारे में थोड़ा बताइए ताकि हम सब उसको याद रख सके.
मेरा बेटा तो सपना था मैडम, मैं एमबीए करके उसमें डीकैथलॉन में भी प्लेसमेंट मिला था. मेरा उसका मम्मी को बोला था, मम्मी इस महीना उसका 5 तारीख से एग्जाम था मैडम, एक एग्जाम भी दिया था. उसके बाद फिर 10 तारीख को एग्जाम होना था. इसका 20 में इसका हादसा हुआ मैडम. तो उसका सपना था कि इसका भाई को दिल्ली में उसको कोचिंग करा के उसको पढ़ा के उसको अच्छा नौकरी दिला दे. फिर अपना माँ को साथ में रख के मेरे को बोला, पापा आपने बहुत नौकरी किया, फौज में बहुत दिक्कत होता है, आपको पेंशन मैं जब नौकरी में ज्वाइन करूंगा, नौकरी मिला तो आप पेंशन आ जाना. ऐसे भी बोला था मैडम मेरे को बच्चा ने. इतना सलाह दिया, मेरा दिल पूरा टूट गया मैडम अभी मेरा.
आप क्या डिमांड करते हैं सर? क्या मांग है आपका समाज से, सरकार से कि ऐसा कोई हादसा किसी और के साथ ना हो?
हाँ मैडम, यही चाहता हूँ. किसी मतलब पूरा सरकार से मैं, उत्तराखंड सरकार को, पूरा इंडिया का सरकार से मैं अपील करता हूँ. और जैसे नॉर्थ ईस्ट से भी कोई बच्चा कोई बेंगलोर में, देहरादून में, कहीं भी दिल्ली में कोई कंपनी में काम कर रहा है, कोई पढ़ाई करने जा रहा है मैडम, उनका साथ ऐसे गलत व्यवहार ना हो मैडम, जो हुआ है. तो अभी तो हमने बच्चे को बहुत कोशिश किया, मतलब उसको ये बचाने के लिए हॉस्पिटल में मैडम, लेकिन बसा नहीं गया, ज़रा सोच लगा ठीक है मैडम। तो हम बहुत ये है मैडम।
थैंक यू तरुण प्रसाद जी, हमसे बात करने के लिए। पूरा देश आपके साथ है। Our condolences to you and your family. I know no words can really match what you're facing. NDTV will continue fighting against hate. Thank you so much, sir, हमसे बात करने के लिए. The real danger is not just crime, it's also a slow normalization of cruelty against anybody that you see as an outsider, and of course the silence that follows once the headlines fade. With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.